Saurus.
How's it going, everyone?
We have got a good game. Apparatus, I believe, a Rob player. And just before we get into the format, we are doing the same normal modified crew battle format. 5 teams, stock at the end of the game count, plus 2 points for winning a set. I'll explain it a little bit more in depth, but it's the same format we've been running. It's week 8. I hope you guys all know by now. And we are getting into game 1 here. Apparatus for Mississippi State on the Rob and Georgie on this Kirby representing his Georgetown University.
Yeah, I actually really like this matchup because it has a lot of aerial presence. Both of these guys really like their aerial.
Looks like my caster's mic has given up on him for 10 years, so I agree. There's a lot of aerial based gameplay in this matchup. Kirby very lacking in the air, despite what you'd expect. He has a lot of jumps, but his jumps don't take him very far, and his horizontal mobility in the air is very poor. However, we do see his ground game is surprisingly better than you would expect. He has really great tilts, he's got really great short hop aerials as well, and those tilts can clip you under the ledge, especially if you're playing Rod, who does not have that hitbox to cover himself when he's trying to get back to the ledge. So we see Georgie taking that first stock for himself quite early and starting to build up a sizable amount of extra credit for himself with it. 54% already racked up onto Apparatus before Apparatus is able to shark out that up air to kill. And just like I said, Apparatus really abusing Kirby's poor horizontal mobility. It's so easy to get under him and find that up air if you know what you're doing. It is one of the main weaknesses of this character. He's supposed to be so aerially dominant on paper. When you don't have the stats to back it up, it makes it a lot harder. And already we see some really solid combos from Apparatus, evening things right back up.
Yeah, and if I am back, hello everyone. I was going to say that Georgie's doing a very good job of catching Rob on landing. We were talking about the aerial presence of both of these characters, and you were mentioning how Kirby's aerials aren't all that great, and he knows that too, so he's going, to try and catch Rob on all these landings. But that side B has so many hitboxes and is so powerful that it's going to take that second stop.
Yeah, Rob's down B, actually, one of his biggest that is the side B. Yeah, down B's the child. Wow, I'm crazy. The side B, one of his biggest bread and butter kill confirms. Normally we see people combo into it, but Apparatus hits it raw. Again, Georgie clipping the ledge. Apparatus grabbed the ledge twice. We didn't have that invulnerability, and that's the second time I've seen Georgie air dodge to the ledge like that. It looks like he really does know his basic of his characters, but he's still down 70% despite all that.
Yeah, and trapped in the corner against Rob is very tough. I mean, look at all the tools that Rob has. Nearly catches the 2-frame, and this shield gonna get super low. Good grab to get out of the corner.
Yeah, Rob's ledge trapping is one of his strongest, most infamous parts of his kit, and you see it on full display here. Georgie doing his best to get around it and finding some really great return percent, even if it's up against Apparatus on this Rob, but the mobility from that Rob is just too much. Apparatus weaves around Georgie and finds the stock, closes out game 1, and earns a point for his team. But now that we do have a little bit more downtime, I can rehash the format for what'll be the last time for a while. We have 2 teams, each team having 5 representatives. Each team sends in 1 player to go against 1 player of the other team in a best of 3. Winning a game in that best of 3 earns your team a point for each stock you have remaining at the end of the game. And if you win the best of 3, you earn an additional 2 points for your team. So Apparatus, taking game 1 in a 1-stock victory over Georgie, has earned 1 point for Mississippi State, and the lead is now 1-0.
Yeah, and good stuff to both players there. Apparatus able to clutch that one out because of that last air dodge. You mentioned how many times that Georgie had been air dodging to ledge, and the more you use a move, the slower and slower it gets, and so that air dodge only lasts so many frames, and he becomes, a little bit less vulnerable, and that the window of that back air hitbox catches him and secures the kill.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a tier discrepancy when we look at these matchups, I won't lie. It's It's not looking great if you're a Kirby player in Smash Ultimate. It hasn't looked great since Smash 64 for the Kirby players, honestly. But that being said, they do persevere, and we saw Georgie bring out some really great plays. He clipped Apparatus at the ledge multiple times. That's how he got both of his stocks. So I definitely think he's not out of it. We've seen some great gameplay from Georgie, and now that we're going to his counter pick, I expect that it'll be even closer in game 2, and we might even see Georgie take the win here and earn some points back for his team.
Yeah, Georgie did look really good. He did a very good job of making all his hits count. I especially like that you saw in those replays the B reverse into an edge guard attempt. And so, yeah, I was going to say he wants probably a smaller stage to try and kill this Rob a little bit earlier. Could work against him because Kirby is a light character, but I like the game.
Yeah, Kirby being a light character, typically we want to see light characters want to go to the bigger stages, but the flip side is you can get that extra kill power on your heavier opponent as well, so it definitely cuts both ways, and we'll have to see how it pans out, but I think the main reason Georgie takes Apparatus here is for that tri-plat format. Kirby has some really great up air strings he can pull off, and he can carry Apparatus around the stage if given the opportunity. The downside being, these platforms are exactly where Rob wants to be under you, sharking for up airs and up smashes.
Yeah, and once again, Rob's ledge trapping, arguably one of the strongest points of his kit, and it comes to fruition there. And you're absolutely right, the triplats benefit both of these characters, especially if Rob has center stage.
Yeah, Rob with stage control is an absolute menace. We see it looks so hard for Georgie to get down from these ledges. There's so many different heights Apparatus can play at that when Georgie is in disadvantage, it feels really difficult to actually touch the ground, especially with how limited Kirby's mobility is.
Good edge guard attempt there, and Apparatus is making use of that up air. We've seen it a couple times. It's so good, especially if he can land the drag down hitbox of it. It's going to be so powerful, especially on these platforms.
Yeah, there is the up air exactly as we're talking about. Takes the second stock, and now we see Apparatus going for a big combo, looking to make a 3-stock happen for his team, which would be an absolutely amazing lead for Mississippi to have out the gate. Georgie, of course, doesn't want to let it happen, even if he doesn't think he can win the game in this format where every stock counts. He really wants to make sure he can close out this stock when Apparatus is already at 111, but the pressure is absolutely brutal.
That Nair not going to kill you yet. The other problem that Georgie has here is on landing, Kirby cannot cover these platforms. They're too tall for his up smash.
Yeah, Kirby is too short to cover, and there it is. A 3-stock victory for Apparatus will earn him not only 3 points for his team, but he will also gain 2 more points for winning the set, meaning Mississippi takes an early lead of 6-0, which is quite sizable. It's not insurmountable. It can definitely be made back in obviously just one set by the next player coming in for Georgetown, but 6-0 is not where you want to see. Typically, we see matches start out more in the range of 4 or even 3-0.
Yeah, very strong showing from Apparatus there. But this is kind of the performance that we expected from Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. They are one of the top teams in this conference. I believe they're 5-1 if I remember the standings correctly. Whereas Georgetown, this has kind of been the struggle of their season so far. They are the one winless team still in this conference, trying to go up against this powerhouse that is Mississippi State. But it's you know, kind of coming to fruition here. Good showing though. I mean, you saw the flashes of brilliance there from Georgie. Just couldn't put it all together.
Yeah, Mississippi State is currently tied for 4th in the conference with William and Mary. They have a net win-loss difference of 4 right now, out of 6 possible wins. So 5-1 is a really impressive showing. DePaul University at number 1, Siena and St. Peter at number 2. So they are a top contender, and Georgetown at 0-6 has been feeling very bad, but with how fierce the competition is, some teams just have to be better than the others, and some teams need to be here to practice, need to get their games on, and honestly, this is a really great opportunity for Georgetown University, who is completely eliminated from any playoff contentions, to get some really good experience under their belts.
Yeah, and that's also another point was if you look at this Big East conference that Georgetown is in, it's a tough conference. I mean, DePaul is ranked first. They're, I believe, the only unbeaten team still remaining in the EGF, and so Georgetown has had a rough season solely because the Big East has been so tightly competitive.
Yeah. We see teams like University of Connecticut 1-6. Meanwhile, on the other end of the Big East, we have DePaul at 6-0. We have St. John's University at 4-3. So it's a very polarized bracket over there. We are in a state at the end of the season where things are mostly figured out, and it's really great to sort of see all these teams who we've been following going up against each other now and solidifying their places in the standing.
Yeah, and Mississippi State, one of the independent teams, they've had such a great showing. We talked about some of their key players, and Apparatus being one of them. Important for them to get off to an early start.
Yeah, and they are indeed getting off to that early start. We are going to take a short couple-minute break while we get the next two players, Canoe and Lukewarm, into the lobby, get the next game ready. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, hello and welcome back, everybody. We have Canoe and Lukewarm in the lobby. They just finished up their hand warmers and their lag tests, so we're going to be getting straight into things. We have Canoe representing Mississippi State, trying to extend their lead even further. Remember, they started out 6-0 after a commanding victory from Apparatus over Georgia, but up against Canoe, we have Lukewarm for the Georgetown University trying to shut it down, trying to get their points back and even things up. We'll have to see what happens as we get straight into it. Looks like they just need to get back onto the right characters, maybe switch off for the hand warmer, and we will be on our way.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see which characters come out here. I'm not sure who either of these players play.
We heard Ganon and Wario in the hand warmer, and it looks like it is going to be Ganon being kept, but the Wario is going to be getting switched up onto the Jigglypuff, who is a character we do not see a lot of representation for.
Yeah, and this is a strange matchup because this is the light, floaty character that dies very early against one of the heaviest hitters in the game. So this Jigglypuff has to play very careful.
Yeah, the Jigglypuff does have to play very careful, but the off-stage game is where we can really see the shine. Going off stage, gimping Ganon to recovery is incredibly powerful. If this Ganon dies off the side blast zone, I expect it to be a very rare occurrence, just like that. We see you go off the side, get the double fair, and just drag Lukewarm to the edge, force him out of recovery range, and get a nice early stock despite Ganon's heavy weight.
Yeah, and I really like good combo here from Jigglypuff. He's really making use of every single hit, but that Sing was a little greedy.
Good attempt. I respect the attempt, but it definitely did not pay off, and it is quite punishable. But at only 40%, you're not in actual danger of dying, so the risk reward felt like it was there for him.
Yeah. Again, Kirby. Oh no, Jigglypuff, another one of these characters that's also pretty good at ledge trapping, and Lukewarm nearly going for it all.
Oh man, Lukewarm not there with the punish though. Perhaps not really knowing the timing. I'm sure he is not very used to seeing a whole lot of Jigglypuffs using Sting and being punished for it. So I don't blame him. But Canoe really starting to open up a very big lead here. Almost taking this stock as well means at 135% on Lukewarm, it's a full stock lead still for Canoe, and it could be getting even bigger.
This is one of the issues, though, for Drexel, is that he's got to find a way to kill, and really Jigglypuff's best kill option is something like that, trading off stage.
There it is, indeed, yeah. That's definitely a kill option. Trading the stocks is pretty good. It's a pretty core part of Jigglypuff gameplay with that rest, and we see it come out in a little bit of a different form there, but already Canoe, a big combo, racks on 60-70%, and it continues the air dodge chase as well, and it might just be Lukewarm getting almost 0 to death here. The combo
maybe. Oh no.
Oh,
dipped a little too low there, and is gonna eat his stock for it.
Yeah, really well played by Canoe. That entire last stock just felt like Canoe was running down every single escape option Lukewarm wanted to do, and that is the failure of Ganondorf, right? That is what the character is weak at. When he's in disadvantage, he's big, he's slow, and he can't get out of it easily, and Canoe capitalized on it perfectly. He earns 2 more points for Mississippi State, bringing the lead up to 8-0, and now it starts looking bad. If Canoe wins this next game, I'm pretty sure Mississippi State, the heavy favorites, to be sure, will lock it out not completely. It would be winnable for Georgetown, but it would start looking pretty daunting.
Yeah, and one of the things about this matchup specifically is that, we talked about how hard it is for Jigglypuff to kill such a heavy character, but, I mean, if Ganon is put off stage, that's, like, a death sentence, practically, because,
for sure.
It's... When you're on stage against Jigglypuff, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. He's not gonna hit you with any heavy combos, really. Even though you saw him kind of get carried across the stage, but that's because of like the specific hitbox that you have to land. It's a very close window that you have to land string those aerials together. But each of those aerials is only worth under 10%. It's the fact that Puff was able to string them all together that made it so damaging.
Yeah, it's the fact that Puff is able to string them together, and it's the fact that you just get dragged all the way out to the blast zone. Jigglypuff doesn't need a strong hit to kill you, because Jigglypuff can go so far off stage horizontally and make it back. The fall speed, the aerial drift, both just go together perfectly to make it so she can fair you 4 times and drag you straight into the blast zone. She doesn't need a big launching move to do it. She'll just take you there herself.
Especially against a character like Ganon 2 with, very limited options in terms of recovery and disadvantage. Ganon's basically like Captain Falcon, right? In that you either, burn your jump or use your up B early, and either way, Puff has so much coverage options with her floating mobility.
Her lightweight. Well, we do go to Kalos, the best counter pick in the game. If you're gonna lose and stop. But we do see it. Canoe absolutely content to camp under the platform, gets a little bored, and needs some damage for it. Getting a little bit lazy, and a flubbed input is going to mean an SD. I'm sure Canoe does not want to get a rest input off stage there.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be a pound, that side B. That side B actually does a surprising amount of shield pressure, and I'm looking... Oh, great job, he's stringing it together. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. You can string pound into a couple different moves. In some scenarios, it can lead to a rest. Oh, that was a dangerous forward air. Ganon just hits like a truck, and so any of these forward smashes or up smashes that are coming out are going to kill Puff really early.
That was at like 52% the up smash hits, and the Puff almost dies off the top. On Kalos, Kalos has the second highest ceiling from the stage of any legal stage, so killing off the top on Kalos is not easy, but if you're playing Jigglypuff, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, I think Puff is something like the 3rd lightest character, or 2nd lightest character in the game as well. So, yeah, 80% is kill percent. That forward tilt gonna do it, though.
Forward tilt takes the stock, and it's lukewarm, earning himself the lead back. For 82% means he's not feeling comfortable, but Puff doesn't have that kill power. He has it from still. He's able to make it back on stage with the uppie, and now 39, almost 40% on this Puff, and lukewarm is really starting to take things forward. 62% now. DSD, of course, out of his control, but it could be exactly what he needed to get back in the game. Up 63% means basically any smash attack will do it here.
Yeah, especially with the black zones of Kalos, even up smash I'd be scared of if I were Canoe.
Oh yeah, I would be scared, absolutely. When you're 101 as a Jigglypuff against Ganon, a light breeze will start killing pretty soon, so you need to be incredibly careful. This has to be the No!
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh, no! Wait! Oh, the BM does not pay off. Oh, what am I watching?
Well, that's called clip hunting, and failing at it as well. But in the end, Lukewarm gonna take the first game for Georgetown.
So a sleep misses, but Lukewarm fails the punish and falls asleep. Canoe goes for a rest, but jumps too far. So Lukewarm goes to punish the rest with a Warlock punch, but doesn't turn around. So Canoe goes to punish the missed Warlock punch with a rest, but jumps over him again And finally, Lukewarm says, "Screw it! I'm just charging a smash attack," and takes the stock.
There's no other way to say that was just that was a mess. I do respect Canoe trying to go for the clip there because that isn't confirmed that you can do that down air into rest.
Yeah.
But rest is one of those moves that you have to commit to it, right? And so
went for drill rest, but Lukewarm fell out and was able to get his shield up in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a little more respectable.
The key to that drill rest is you kind of have to be. You can't fade into it very easily. It's more like you have to come down on them as if you were spiking them. It makes it way easier. But because he kind of drifted left to right, it allowed Lukewarm to fall out of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's yeah. You have to land on a specific frame of the drill to get the cancel to work. It's hard, especially on Wi-Fi. So I respect for Canoe for attempting, but I'm pretty sure there was a more consistent punishment there somewhere. Either way, we have a game 3. We go to Battlefield, which is an interesting stage. I don't really know what to make of it in this matchup, but the one thing I do know is Ganon will have a really easy time sharking these platforms with smash attacks.
Yeah, I think this stage acts as kind of a double-edged sword. Whoever controls stage kind of controls the matchup, because if you're landing on one of those platforms, it's oh so dangerous.
But we see almost a 0 to death for Canoe here. He hasn't been touched yet. 105 on Lukewarm with no response. And that's it.
Gonna do it, yeah. The 0 to death. I mean, and look at Canoe's stage control. He had stage control for the majority of that first stock. And this is why we're saying it feels very double-edged. Oh boy, here we go again. Nair's gonna do it.
Is it? No. Lukewarm, please hit him once. I'm begging you. Lukewarm, I'm begging you.
Oh no.
Oh.
And that, my friends, is a JV4.
I guess it is.
I'm so sorry, Lukewarm. That's just
sorry.
unfortunate.
It didn't have to be this way, but you pressed the gray button on your controller. I'm sorry. You had more of a chance.
I think that's the fastest JV4 I've seen in a while.
That was a quick one. The Puff JV4 as well is not something you expect to get pulled out.
Yeah. Mississippi State, message sent and received. This is a team to be not to be messed with.
And now with a scoreline of 13-1, it would take an absolute miracle run from Georgetown University to make it back, especially considering the fact that I think Georgetown only has 4 players. So I'm pretty sure they automatically forfeit 6 stocks at the end for Game 5. I'm pretty sure that's how the format works.
I would have to check again. That sounds right.
I need confirmation on that, but I'm pretty sure if you have a player missing from your roster for some reason, it counts as getting double 2 stocks. I think that's a ruling we made before, so we'll have to see what happens, but Mississippi State, I think if that is the rule, has already guaranteed themselves victory.
Yeah. And, I mean, this is kind of the showing that we were kind of expecting from Mississippi State. This is a strong team. They've got talent across the board. And the Jigglypuff pick, I mean, I don't think we don't really see Jigglypuff in this conference a lot. But just a strong showing. And against Ganon, that's a very, tilt-heavy type of matchup where it's either heavy one way or the other. So for him to come out and have that strong of a showing is fantastic for Mississippi State.
It certainly was heavy in one way. But that being said, we are going to throw it to a quick little break. We have Renegade going up against Kobe coming up next. We need to see if Kobe can reclaim some pride for his school, or if Mississippi State can keep just asserting their dominance. And we actually might not have to have a break. These players are loading in fast today. Renegade and Kobe, I'm being informed, are actually both in the ring. We'll have to see if they get their picks and bans done, but I guess we are gonna have to wait. Do you actually know who either of these players play?
I've seen Renegade play before, but the last time I think I saw him play was against Hawaii, and I think he lost that set. It was very close, though. I believe it was like 2-1 stocks that he lost. I don't remember the character that he plays, but he is one of the more consistent players on this Mississippi State roster, so a face that comes up more often.
Yeah, it looks like he didn't actually play last week. That's why I didn't recognize him. I recognized Apparatus, that Rob player that we saw play, but I did not recognize Renegade because he didn't play last week. I was here last week for the cast, but he wasn't in the lineup, so we'll have to see how he comes out and performs going up against Kobe. Kobe, another player I have not seen anything of as far as I'm aware. Do you know if you have?
I have not seen Kobe, so you know, I'm hoping for the double random pick. That would be fun.
Looking at our schedule for later, just looking down the road, it looks like we don't have DePaul playing on our stream, which is a shame because assuming that Mississippi goes ahead and wins this match against Georgetown, they would have 6 wins and 1 loss, meaning the pressure would be on DePaul to win their matchup against whoever they are up against on stream 2, I believe, because at 6-0, currently undefeated, they would need to win to avoid going to a tiebreaker scenario, in which case we would pull up win-loss records against each other and stock count differentials and a whole bunch of other stats. So maybe saving us a little bit of a headache if DePaul is able to pull it out in their match. And Mississippi State, looking to tie them up in terms of win count is an impressive feat in and of itself.
Yeah, for assuming they can clutch this one out, 6-1 is like you said, no small feat, and especially in this league, which has had so many teams at the top look so good for so long.
3, 2, 1, go!
Renegade on the DDD going up against Kobe on Lucina. And I feel like every time DDD is on screen, I just want to talk about how bad of a matchup it is for him.
Yeah, I guess. Ooh, that was a dangerous shield there from Renegade. Yeah, DDD, this is a stage that I don't also think benefits him either because although he can run away and use his projectiles, if Lucina gets in, there's a lot of damage to be done, but speaking of damage, that forward smash.
Yeah. That's a pretty bread and butter setup for DDD players, blowing up that order the pressure into the ledge, force your opponent to get up, and then go for that up smash. But every time I see it, it still looks so impressive. And it gives Renegade first stock, giving it a full stock advantage now lapping over Kobe.
This is going to be the struggle for Kobe, is how do you get through this disadvantage, all these projectiles. It's hard for sorties to get out of the corner like that. They typically, do something like swing on shield, and Renegade's starting to get a picture for it. He's starting to read these jumps out of the corner.
Yeah, Renegade, really, really great border coverage. I mean, you see Kobe throwing these Bordeaux back. You have that distance, you have that sword. You can easily take them back at Renegade and alleviate some of the pressure, but you can only do that when you're safe to throw out hitbox. And Renegade is there to punish you, and you see Renegade in Kobe's face too much at the hit.
And the other trouble here is that Renegade at 82%, you would think this, Lucina's got plenty of kill power, but 82 is nowhere close for DDD. DDD has so much survivability, being so heavy and so mobile.
Yeah, DDD, quite a heavy character. It's going to be a while before Kobe starts killing. You've seen his smashbacks are all very consistently powered. So you're going to need to get Renegade up to like 130. You're already being lapped on stock 3. A little bit of juice and some sus BI actually does find Kobe the stock, but still Renegade is just so far ahead, and Kobe falls too short of the ledge. 2 more points in a JP stock going the way of Mississippi State as this lead goes to 15-1.
Yeah, and Kobe, well, basically got red. I mean, how many times did we see him jump out of the corner and Renegade just say, "Okay, forward air, forward air"? You know, it's almost as if Kobe was the sword character here.
For sure. No, that was Renegade played that so clean. It literally just looked like Kobe had nothing to do. That's the weakness of these swordies, right? When you're playing a sword character, you want to be the one taking space aggressively, forcing your opponent into the corner, making them feel suffocated. But we never once saw Kobe with advantage in that game. It always felt like he was on the back foot. He was the one trying to land, trying to get back to center stage, and Renegade just never ever let him.
Yeah, I said Kobe looked like the sword character. That's because he was. I meant Renegade looked like the sword character. But you are right. Renegade had so much stage control, and Kobe was just trying to find a way in. Kobe was able to work his way out of the corner a couple times. From ledge, he did one option. He rolled and then immediately up tilted, and I really like that option because Lucina's up tilt comes out really quickly, and on a stage like FD, it gets DDD up into the air. DDD, any character really on FD, does not have an easy way to land.
Especially against Lucina.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, we do see a character switch come out from Kobe. He's going on to this young Link, a character I think is even better suited for those matchups. These projectiles from the young Link really help stuff out Renegade. DDD is not a mobile character. He is slow and he is fat, which means it is very, very hard for him to weave around this strong projectile game. The one tool he does have is that stuff that we've already seen come out, and the other tool, I guess, is never giving Kobe time to throw projectiles, as we're seeing already immediately if Kobe put in the corner under immense pressure from Renegade.
Yeah, missed space. I was going to say the other advantage that Young Link brings is a better recovery because you have more options and the recovery just goes vertically higher. But if you get that misspacing and you fade too far from ledge and land on stage, DDD hits like a truck. So that's how that first stock goes away.
DDD is one of the strongest characters in the game in terms of just raw kill power, and Young Link, definitely a lighter character than we've seen as well. I mean, that forward stack will start killing around 50.
Yeah, especially on a stage like this where the blast zones on the sides are so close, a lot of DDD's kills are off the side of the map, so Kobe playing a very dangerous game as he charges the down B.
Yeah, he gets the hit, finds it in style, and now 2-stock lead. Going to see if he can close out another 3-stock for the side of Mississippi, and with Kobe off stage, it's looking very doable for Renegade. Kobe doesn't have a jump, I'm pretty sure he's dead, and there's gonna be the disrespect dunk attempt. You have to respect it, but he helped you find it. A 3-stock nonetheless means Mississippi State absolutely guaranteed victory. 20-1 is irrecoverable.
So I mentioned how Kobe with this character would have a few more options in terms of getting out of disadvantage, you know, finding a way to recover back to ledge. Well, it doesn't help if you do the same option every time. How many times did Kobe burn his jump early to try and get closer and closer to ledge? And Renegade was there every single time. And then on top of that, how many times did we see Kobe roll from ledge? Renegade was there to answer that option as well.
Yeah, especially on Young Link, who has great tools to get off of ledge, like drop down jump arrow, drop down jump forward air. That's a nice lasting multi-hit move you can use to cover your way back on stage. Just force Renegade into some option, put him in his shield, pressure him. Then you can start looking to just neutral, get up and grab. You can go for the mix-ups once your opponent doesn't just expect the same thing every time, and you just keep giving it to him.
Yeah, and it just made the matchup look so much more smothering, right? Because once Renegade had stage control, Kobe just kind of seemed, you know, baffled of, like, what do I do to get in on this big penguin?
Yeah, for sure. But with that being said, 20-1 is the lead. Mississippi State very realistically going to end up in a tiebreaker scenario, meaning their point differentials, their total point counts are going to matter here. So they want to get as many as they can. And Fancy Old Chap coming up next, going against Jotri from Georgetown University, will be our final set of the match between these two teams. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes to bring that to you. Hello, quite a short break. These players have been incredibly punctual in terms of getting back into the lobbies, which makes my job a lot easier to say the least. So I very much appreciate it. We have Mississippi State's Fancy Old Chap, a great name. We have some really great names in EGF. Going up against Jotri for Georgetown University. We have Jotri on the Korin going up against Fancy Old Chap on the Wolf.
I believe this is Fancy Old Chap's first start for Mississippi State.
Okay, yeah. I definitely don't recognize him. I haven't really seen him around, but Wolf is an interesting character. Jotri does not want to approach right now. Both players maybe have a little bit of trying to figure out. No, it's just a little bit of an interesting start to the game. A clean 13% from Jotri as he finds a projectile. But as I wanted to say, Wolf is one of those characters where he feels very bread and butter flow starting. It feels like whenever you play against Wolf, it really does feel like you're playing against the character more than the player.
Right. And the way I kind of think of it is, in other Smash games, Sheik was always that, bread and butter string combos together. Wolf is like that in this game, except for Wolf hits a whole lot harder than Sheik.
Yeah, the difference between Sheik and Wolf is Sheik combos you for 3 minutes and deals 70%. Wolf hits you 3 times and deals 70%.
Yeah. And against Korin, this is a very awkward matchup for Korin because Korin has a lot of disjointed hitboxes on Wolf, who has one of the better projectiles in this game.
Yeah, Wolf has a really, really good projectile. It's slow, so it covers a lot of space. It's out for a long time and makes it hard to approach it, as well as dealing an really insane amount of percent. And we see it paying off. Just the solid bread and butter. The smash attack the aerials finding their marks for Fancy here as he is up 2 stocks to 1, or 3 stocks to 1, or 2 stocks to 1.
It feels like Jotri is really having trouble finding a way in on Fancy, always approaching with some sort of aerial, or finally he lands, a grab, but still just making his attacks, dipped a little too low on that recovery.
Yeah, not where you want to be. Even going off stage was because of a really, really punishable neutral B charge attempt. It's not how you want this game to go. He ended up facing the wrong way after his double jump somehow. I'm not quite sure, but it's so rough. But that's how it's going to go. These players from Mississippi State are not here to mess around. They are out to take names and blow up their leads. So you need to be able to step it up, or you need to be able to just accept your defeats against them. They're just such a dominant team.
Yeah. And one of the things I was going to talk about was for the Corrin there. Corrin is a character that has a lot of odd movement options in terms of how they move around on stage. The neutral B, if they're in the air, it actually pushes them away. So does the back air. Whichever way they use the back air, it pushes them away from that hitbox, so it makes it a little disjointed. And things like the down air send you straight down and make you fast fall. It's very awkward to approach with this character.
Yeah, Corrin's definitely a character who wants to force the opponent to approach them, but when Wolf has that laser, that's such a strong tool. It makes it a lot harder to force Wolf to approach you, because he is content to just sit on the side, to shoot that gun and make you walk over. And when your approaches are so weak and telegraphed as Corrin, it makes it very hard.
Lilac, the interesting counter pick as well. These slants are actually, I think, really going to benefit Corrin.
You know, we saw Dotry standing, crouching under the lasers because of his slants. But when you start getting hit by these bread and butter scenarios, these tech reads, these lead traps from the Wolf, it starts looking bad, and that up B is incredibly punishable. You cannot just throw that out there.
Wolf down smash is, I believe, one of the strongest in the game as well. 85 is when it killed, so to give you an indicator of how good, Wolf's smash attacks are.
Yeah, Wolf down smash is one of the best in the game. It's fast, it covers both sides, with great power, it's fast angle. We saw the power of it right there. Fancy already ballooning a lead, 73, 82% on him, with 37 on his opponent. He's looking to make that higher as he keeps Dotry flying around at disadvantage, but the pin is a nice reversal, and he's up his half the stock.
Yeah, they're so committal, and that's a tough trade. Can you make it back? No, Corrin's recovery's a little too short.
Yeah. And now, Fancy at 104 is definitely in kill percent. He could die, especially something like the counter, but Dotry has to be careful of getting double free stocks here.
And Wolf's at kill percent too. I mean, on a stage like this, it's hard to kind of kill Fox because the blast zones on the side are so close that if Fox lives, he's going to probably be able to make it back. But you have to find a way to land a strong hit here. You have confirms that you can go for
there
it.
It is.
Up B,
oh, but not quite. Yeah, just lacking that kill power. And the down B to clip Dotry under the ledge will secure Fancy old trap. The double 3-stock victory. And Georgetown, their lineup only has 4 players on it. There is not a 5th game to play. Unfortunately for Mays, the remaining player on the lineup of Mississippi State, he's getting snuffed out of playing his match. But I'm sure he's happy. His team is taking home 28 more points to Georgetown's 1. Georgetown unable to find themselves their first match victory in EGF here. They are going to go on without a win, unfortunately, but they have developing talent. They probably will be back next season, and they will be improved and hopefully looking better. Mississippi State, a solid playoff contender, securing themselves the 6-1 spot means they are now in contention for first place, and it's in DePaul University's hands to see where Mississippi ends up.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, that Mississippi State, they have come through week after week after week of, showing up in a big way, and Georgetown, it just hasn't come to fruition for them. So, it's kind of back to the drawing board, back to basics, back to fundamentals for them.
Yeah, you got to get that practice in. You got to practice on the Wi-Fi, get everything solidly lined up. And next season, I expect if they keep up their practice, if they put in the work, they can definitely be some contenders. But Mississippi moving on, and now we are way ahead of schedule here because we do not have a 5th game to play. So we are going to cut it to a pretty long break as we talk to teams. I'm not sure if we are going to wait until 6 o'clock Eastern time to play out the match between Siena College and University of Connecticut, but it looks like it very well might be the case. So we are going to either throw it to a very long break or turn off the stream and run it back up when it is time for the match to start. But keep the tab open. You'll hear the sounds when we get things going. Make sure you're here. Make sure you're watching because we do have Siena College versus University of Connecticut coming up next. It's going to be a good match. Make sure you stay tuned.